Okay, we have 4:02 p.m. on July 30th, June 30th, excuse me. So I'm going to call to order the continuation of the hearing of June 2nd on the application of Eileen and Martin O'Malley for adding replacing and adding a slightly larger porch at 55 Waldeck Street. Since our last meeting, the applicant has submitted a drawing to understand a little better what I was looking at, as well as a map of the close-in area to the locus of 55 Waldeck Street Road, I'm sorry, Waldeck Road, showing that there are in fact two family houses across the street, next door, and a couple down from where the applicant's home is, and showing how close they are to rear lot lines and side lot lines. And as we know, these houses were built before zoning was adopted by the town of Milton. And so they're pre-existing, non-conforming, but legal. So what I'd like to do, I was wondering if Mrs. O'Malley, if you could give us an update on anything that's happened with, hold on one moment, please. Since we last were together, and what the update on that is.
Okay. Yes, I sent a email communication to David and Betsy McDermott, as you suggested, and to see if they were willing to come over and see the yard from my home. And David and Betsy did come over on Friday, June 28th, and we came up my back deck, and they got to see my view into their yard from my current deck. We talked about the additional 4 feet that I was looking for. And then Betsy came into my kitchen to see how from my kitchen, I had 4 windows. I currently have a view into their yard. So we did that, and it was very neutral. I didn't ask them how they felt about things or anything. I didn't want to put them on the spot. So we didn't resolve anything.
So they have not withdrawn their letter opposing it. So unless they are here today to give an update from their side of things, my hands are kind of tied. But so I would like to know if they are waiting in the wings and wanting to be heard today.
They are.
They are. Okay, great.
I'm now allowing David McDermott to speak.
Sure. Thanks all for giving us this opportunity to speak. I think in summary, we appreciated the opportunity to go and see Eileen's plans, but we haven't changed our opinion about them, I don't think. It's not anything personal against Eileen. She's always been a nice neighbor. We haven't interacted much, but we don't have any issues with her personally. But we do have privacy concerns about what, an expansion of that deck would mean for our privacy. Eileen was very transparent about her plan, and the extension and, 4 feet closer to our fence. That was more than, at least I remember the contractor describing when he was describing the expansion, significantly more. The And I guess part of our concern has less to do with the current status quo than future. So, in the future, Eileen may not be the owner of that house. She might rent that house. And if there were tenants up there that were, younger or louder than she, that might pose a bigger privacy issue than we have right now. And the other thing which we didn't get into, which is maybe not that important, is that what is blocking our view when we sit in our yard, we don't. Our view is of her deck is somewhat blocked by a tree that is essentially dying. So, going forward in the next several years, we'll have even less screening from her deck. So, for all of those reasons, we haven't changed our opinion. And we appreciate the opportunity to communicate, and we're sorry for the inconvenience, but we're not supportive of the plan.
Would, I'm not making anybody do this, but it occurs to me that if there's a tree that's part of the issue that's giving you concern, trees can in fact be replaced too. That would help out with that privacy issue.
Well, that even if the tree wasn't an issue, we would still be against it. I'm just saying the privacy concerns are only going to grow with time, not decrease. And that tree is probably 30 or 40 feet tall, which gives us some cover. Putting a tree in there that would be equal in size wouldn't be possible. It would take years to, decades to be as big as it is now. So I don't think that's a reasonable solution to this. But even if the tree wasn't an issue, it's not something we're supportive of.
Okay, we are talking about 4.25 feet. That this is bigger than what it's replacing.
Yeah.
Is there something that would be acceptable to you? Because this porch will be replaced in some fashion.
Right. I mean, we don't get an opinion if it's replaced with something the same size. So
That's correct.
right. So that is what it is. But something bigger, particularly something 4 feet bigger, allows, many more people up there. And that impacts our privacy. So it's nowhere close to the current guidelines for a house in Milton. There's supposed to be 30 feet between as you know better than me.
Indeed, the house is legal there at, I guess it would be at 15 feet. The house is legal that way.
Right, but it would be 11 it's legal because it's pre-exists. But it wouldn't if it was being built anew. It would be 15 feet closer to the street.
But it isn't, because this house preceded yours, and I'm not trying to say, who has
No, I know,
more standing.
but it's not like we're talking 30 feet versus 28 feet. You're talking 15 versus 11. So it's already very close. It would be even closer. And a large part of it has to do with the fact that, Eileen may not be the owner there. We've been here a long time. So once she's not the owner, then there's no, people can have parties up there. We have other neighbors that are disrupted by, tenants who've had parties, close to their backyard in the past. They don't live in the neighborhood anymore, but they used to. And it was very disruptive. Eileen is obviously not that kind of person, but her tenants could be, or the next owner could be. And that would significantly impact our privacy.
I do see your point. Um, when you were at Eileen's home and you were on the porch that currently exists, how
Mhm.
many people would you say could sit there comfortably?
Two.
If you're asking us, two,
I'm asking you as well as Eileen.
I would say two.
And currently, I would say none because it's cramped in. I mean, it's basically like an egress now, and I sit there, but it's very tight. So I wouldn't say it's comfortable.
So it's not a place that you sit out.
I do sit out there, but it's very tight. And that's why I'm looking for the extra footage so that I can be comfortable. And so I can have at least one other person sit with me comfortably. So if I have, my sister over and we want to have a cup of coffee and sit out on my back deck, that's my goal, is to just get a little comfort.
Okay, and is 4 feet further out the minimum that you could do that with?
No, I could probably do it with 2 or 3 feet extra. When I was looking at the design with my architect, we thought 4 would be very nice, and it would allow me to put some nice furniture there. But I could definitely make do with fewer extra feet. But a couple of extra feet would be really valued.
So I'll kind of swing back to the McDermotts. If that 4 feet were split in 2, would that make a difference to you?
No.
I mean, she could extend her deck to where her stairs are, which is what her original plan was. And that's plenty big for 2 people to sit out there. And have,
I'm not sure what you're explaining on now.
so there's the current deck where she has a table and 2 chairs, and then then the stairs start. And she originally told us that she would bring it out to just where the stairs, the existing stairs start. And then bring it down the side. The stairs would go down the side of the house.
So you're saying that
Where the existing railing is? Not bringing.
currently, I don't have a photographic memory, but I did go to the locus over the weekend. And what I saw was the stairs coming down, going towards the front of the house. So that would be probably, 4 feet wide or so.
Can you explain that?
So my plan right now is the stairs currently start in the back of the house, and my plan is to move the stairs starting at the side of the house. So
At the beginning of, okay, where the side bumps out slightly.
yes, so
Okay.
where the current stairs, so the current stairs start at the back of the house, they go down, then they turn and they go towards the street.
Mm-hmm.
So now the plan is to flip that and start them at the top on the side of the house and then go down and then turn.
Okay.
This more of the deck.
This is a tough one, folks. This is a tough one.
Yeah.
Well, there's also the 2 front decks, the front porch, the upper deck, And she's planning on putting in a patio also. So that would be plenty of sitting room.
Right.
Well-
I mean, eventually, my yard is not pretty right now. You know, when we bought the house, we knew that the back of the house needs work. And eventually, I do want to put in a cement patio on the ground area. You know, but that would be really for if I wanted to cook out. You can't have a grill on your deck upstairs. And so I want to get the grill on a patio, like a cement piece, you know. But those are phases. I want to do landscaping in my backyard. Those are the next phases. The first phase is to fix the deck. It's a small yard overall, as you know. But as I mentioned when I shared the character of the neighborhood, there are other properties in this neighborhood who at some time or another, it appears that they've gotten variances to be a little bit closer to the back fences. Mhm.
So it's.
Hold on, I'm trying to read a number on this plan, which is tough.
Say that what she just
Is,
suggested.
is there anything anyone else would like to add?
Not from our end.
I think I'm good.
Okay. This is a tough one. It's a very tough one. I see both points of view. It's a very tight lot. I think asking for a couple of feet is not unreasonable. It seems like it's not de minimis because the area that we're talking about is so small that is being cut into. However, it's only 4 feet. So how do I weigh one person being able to use simply an area that's meant as an egress to the house, when in fact they don't have access to a place to sit outside unless they have some kind of a balcony that way? And it can be very expensive to litigate something like this. But because the bylaw is such that it requires 30 feet, but this house was there before the bylaw with something that was 15 feet from the back lot line. And that house was built before the McDermott's house. So 4 feet is generally de minimis. And I see no reason for me to judge that given a house that has a large front to back footprint should be penalized out of having some kind of open air in the backyard. And so I'm going to approve this application as long as everything is built according to the plans and plot plan on file and all other documents within the file on this. And I hope that this is not something that is going to make for bad neighbors. I don't want to be the person that does that either, but one way or the other, somebody's not going to be happy with me. But I think the applicant has shown that there's a need to have some kind of back access to the house and the yard. And I'm not convinced that anything that's going to be put in there, even if it is 4.4 feet larger and closer to the back, that's going to make that much of a difference to the McDermotts. So as I'm closing the evidentiary portion of the hearing and have deliberated, that's my decision that the application is approved as submitted.
Thank you.
I will be writing up a decision on this. It will take a few weeks to get that done. At that point, it goes to the town clerk, and a 20-day appeal period comes up. So if neighbors wanted to appeal it, they would have that opportunity to do that. And if that comes to be, then perhaps there could be some communication between the two of you to get something that would be something that both of you could handle, as opposed to and both be happy with. I think there are some considerations that could be made to having it a little bit smaller if need be, but that would be up to you folks in the appeal period. So once this decision is written, and once it is in the appeal period at the town clerk's office, if the McDermotts wanted to file a suit, they could do that. And then perhaps talk about what it would take to settle that if they didn't want to litigate it. So that's my decision. And I will wish you all.
So Ginny, before you hang up, can I speak?
Yes, but not adding more evidence, because I closed that portion of the hearing.
It's fine. So the town, when this was applied for, the town said no. We were then, Eileen then appealed. We were asked to come to a meeting. If we had objections, we had them. At that meeting, it was pretty clear to us that we had the right to say no. You had hoped we would say yes, but you said we had to say yes for this to get an approval.
No, that's not how it works. You don't have to say yes to get approval.
Well, you had
Because-
said no. You guys said no. You're making this between Eileen and us. It's the town said no to Eileen.
Exactly, because that's what the procedure is when we have previously existing legal homes that want to make some modest additions to them. And I consider this to be a very modest addition.
And why didn't you say that last time? You didn't say that last time. You said you have to work this out. You said
No, I didn't.
at the beginning of
I
the
suggested that you.
conversation. You
Wait a
said
minute,
you
please
had to
stop.
approve.
Please stop. Don't talk over me. I
You're
suggested
talking over me.
okay, my suggestion was to see if you could work it out, and you haven't been able to work it out, which means I have to make a difficult decision, which I have made. And I'm not going to change it now, because I just gave you all of the reasons that I made that decision. Whether you agree with it or not, you have the opportunity to fight that if you want to appeal it. I'm sorry that it comes to this, but that's how it works in the town of Milton.
Okay, so we'll appeal it. Once you send us the forms, we'll appeal.
No, that's something that you would have to go to a lawyer for.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay, I'm going to bid you all a good evening, folks, and close the hearing, and good luck to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.